lads, welcome back to the seventh episode now of Who's Got the Ball. So we're back again here, myself and Shane. Shane, what's the crack?
How's things? How are you getting on?
I'm good, man. Good. Obviously, highlight of the weekend for you was Liverpool beating City, but
Yeah,
how are you feeling after that?
brilliant. I'm confident enough to say now that I think it's over the line. I know it's 11 points and our Arsenal do have a game in hand, but I can't see them getting eight more points than Liverpool get between the next 11 or 12 games. I think it's as close to done as it's been for me anyway. So I'm really happy, especially the Arsenal result on Saturday. Like when we were doing our gun chance, that never even came into our thoughts as a team that was going to
You
do a
know,
job on someone. So no, I'm absolutely beaming now. To be honest, I think they'll be worthy champions if they do manage to hold out, and hopefully I haven't cursed them.
no, I think you're right. I think it's safe at this point to say because I know even last week when we were talking about Arsenal, we were saying that they had the ability maybe to challenge, but it would only depend on Liverpool dropping off, not on
Mm.
Arsenal's ability. And then Arsenal instantly dropped off themselves, so
Yeah,
they're not doing themselves any favors there. But yeah, I think it's fairly well wrapped up at
yeah.
this
I think
point.
it was even like we brought it up ourselves last week when we said how when they come up against someone better than Leicester, how would they
Mm,
survive with Mikel Merino up front? And it just goes
that's
to
it.
show it was as we said that it wasn't going to work, and
Yeah,
they never like once West Ham went 1-0 up, it was where Arsenal were always going to struggle to score two goals,
yeah.
and I can't even think of a real chance they had to score one.
I think
So
the
it
amount of
was
times we've said that as well, that like if they go like a goal or two or anything down, you don't see them scoring more than that, and they just lump balls into the box. So like teams like West Ham can defend that all day long.
yeah they had yeah sure, West Ham were basically a team of centre backs like so it was
Yeah.
always going to work out in their favour. So it was a great weekend all round.
Nice one. Yeah, yeah. Not so much for me.
No,
Shocking 70 minutes for United, but look, at least they got a point anyway. And to at least Ireland had a bit of a comeback there against Wales. Very hard
yeah.
fought though. But
Mm.
I think they probably needed a bit of a shock to the system before the France game. So yeah, bit of a bit of a shaky one there though for a while. To be honest, I was
Big
like
time, yeah.
hard. Yeah, but yeah. Let's jump straight into our topics here. So I'll let you take it away. What you want to go with?
So we're going to start with you actually. We're going to talk about Alexander Isak from your
Okay.
point of view and kind of see how we go from there.
Yeah, perfect, man. Sounds good. So yeah, I picked Isak as my player for the football for the week. So the reason I picked him is because like as a as strikers go, I think he's up there at the moment. Definitely in the Premier League. Apart from Haaland, I don't think there's anyone better than him as a striker. And then in Europe, at the moment, strikers are at a premium, like out and out strikers. Of course, you have your Harry Kanes, Lewandowski, that kind of style of player, but those guys are aging a little bit in terms of someone who's a bit younger. Isak stands out to me. So after Salah, he's clearly having the best attacking season of any Prem player. And he has 19 goals and 5 assists in the Prem, but those 19 goals are coming on 23.32 xG,
Hmm.
so he's an excellent finisher. You can always see that, like his shots. If he just had to make a tap in, he would literally lash it in on purpose just to show the power he has. And he looks like kind of a slight guy, but he has like that quick turn of pace and then the strength and a lot of strength in his leg to just literally any shot he has is just pure power, but it has precision into it as well. To be honest, I didn't know a whole pile about him when Newcastle signed him. I knew he'd done well for Sociedad, but that wouldn't be a team that I'd watch that much. Only maybe the odd time if they're in the Champions League or United stumble across them in the Europa League, of course. But
Hmm.
like I'd only seen him play a couple of times, and when Newcastle bought him, I thought, yeah, I thought it was a bit of a risk at first, to be honest. And from the very off, like straight away in that first season, I think he might have scored 10 goals in that 20 or what games he's
Yeah, I
played.
think it was, yeah, in around
And
that anyway.
then yeah, and then last season, excellent again. And the only negative about him that I can think of is the fact that he's had quite a few injuries. But hopefully, now that he's kind of got his body used to the Premier League, that will fall to the wayside, and there'll be only positives from here.
Yeah, so you're right there. So he had 10 goals in his first 22 games in his first season.
Okay, yeah,
Then he scored 21 in 30 last year and is currently on 19 and 24. So he's the second fastest Newcastle player to 50 goals in the Premier League, doing it in 76 games. Obviously, only Alan Shearer has beaten him to it.
well,
And what you were saying as well about like he can do everything, he can shoot, he holds the ball up really well. He can pass. He 5 assists kind of says it as well. He's the perfect striker for the Newcastle system, which makes me wonder: is he a perfect fit for the system, or is he a striker that could go to Liverpool and get 25 goals if Salah's getting 25 goals as well? If you know what I
Mm,
mean? Like, is he good at being the big fish in the small pond? But the only way to find that out is if he does leave Newcastle.
mm.
Um, I think everything is going his way as well. Like the penalty he scored at the weekend against Forest goes to show that everything really is going his way at the moment. Like chipping it at the keeper, and the keeper just falls into the net with
Yeah,
us is just like it's one of
it's a bit
those
of a
things.
stroke of luck
But
there, but
oh, 100%, yeah. But I think what he's doing, he's making Anthony Gordon and Jacob Murphy look better as well with the way he
definitely.
plays with him. Especially Murphy. Like Murphy, 2 years ago, Murphy was someone that Newcastle were like, I can't wait to get rid of him, just get
Mm,
him out. And now he's one of the first names on the team sheet because he just works so well in that front
yeah,
three. He's keeping Harvey Barnes out of the team. Like I think things like that, it just goes to show that Isak has been the perfect striker for Newcastle. But would he be as good if he went to a Liverpool, a Manchester United, and had to kind of share his goals around more than he does at the moment?
yeah. No, I think is a good point, but I think I don't really have those doubts about him myself, considering, like I mentioned, how clinical he is. Because I think if there is other players around him taking more shots, I don't think he needs as many as other top strikers. Well, in terms of quality chances, I think he takes a lot of shots, but like I mean, he'll take a shot from nothing is what I'm saying. He's not afraid to do that. And I think in a better team he'll probably have more chances as well if
Yeah,
not if anything. And I agree that he has made those guys better, especially Murphy, because he likes to play that ball like down into the channel. And that has really helped. And he has a lot of running in him. Looking at some of the numbers behind his season so far, he's 10th in total shots with 68 and fourth in shots on target with 34 total across the season. So 34 shots on target, 19 goals. Pretty good.
pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah, and second most goals per match with 0.79. And another point to add to that is he's only scored two penalties. So, like, that's a pretty important thing as well, like non penalty goals for a striker. He does need some work getting caught offside. So you notice when he is playing, sometimes he needlessly gets caught offside. And he's has the third most in the Premier League with 17. A bit
Darwin
of a question,
Nunes.
here for you now. So third most is him with 17. Chris Wood has 20 in second place, but guess who has the most in the league?
It has to be Darwin Nunes with 27 or 28.
No, 27 is right, but it's not him.
Is it Mo Salah?
No, it's not a Liverpool player. Other side
Oh,
of Merseyside.
oh, Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah,
Yeah,
27, and he's played literally like 500 minutes less
yeah.
than the other two. Like
It's
how can he
quite
get caught?
impressive.
That's absolutely crazy. So yeah, I think that's just madness. But anyway, yeah, that is something he needs to work on, I suppose. But I think yeah, his finishing is outrageous, and he is great at bringing other players in. Lots of rumors about him right now, but I hope he does stay at Newcastle at least for another season because
Hmm.
I'd like to see him grow with the rest of the team. And I think if he does go, it's going to be an absolutely massive fee.
I think it's really important for Newcastle. Like if they get Champions League for next year, then I think they'll have no issue keeping him then. But
Mm.
if they fall off the face of the earth in the next 10 or 11 games and end up finishing seventh or eighth, like he's not going to want to play Europa League football. Like he kind of,
I
now
don't know.
maybe,
I think he might settle for a year of Europa, to be honest.
but would it just be a year? Because when you look at like next year, City are going to be back stronger. Chelsea will probably get stronger again.
Mm.
United are going to come back at some stage, maybe not next year, but they will at some point. Spurs won't be as bad. So there'll be a lot
Yeah,
more competition for top four, top five that places next year. So maybe he will give it another year and do a year of Europa League and see how it goes. But he'll be 26 at the end of next season. And I think that's the stage where you either move now or you're not getting that move. So I think he'll 12 months max
yeah. I'd
left at
say
Newcastle.
another season sounds about right if they're
Mm,
in the Europa, especially. Unless they make a push next season and finish top four, then it could be a thing where he grows with them. But
yeah.
yeah, realistically, it could be a move away. But right now, they're definitely making the most of him because he's been absolutely quality. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've got on him. Unless you have something else, we can move on to your team.
No, I do think I think he's been brilliant this season. As you said, like no one outside of Salah is having as much of an impact for their team as he has, from what I can see anyway, on the eye test anyway. It looks like he's probably the most important attacker outside of Salah in the league. And I kind of agree with you. I do hope that he stays in Newcastle for another year and keeps bagging
Mm,
in 2025 goals and just see where he goes from there.
yeah, definitely.
And I'm going to move on to the other side of Merseyside, as we mentioned a couple of minutes ago, and I'm going to give Everton a small bit of credit, as much as I don't want to. Um, I was only looking, and I couldn't actually believe this when I saw it. But before they sacked Sean Dyche, in his 20 games, he had 4 wins, 8 draws, and 8 losses in his 20 games. Paddy Power actually paid out on Everton to be relegated after two
Wow,
games of the season. 2 games into the season, they paid out on Everton to be relegated.
I didn't know that.
The football under Dyche was pathetic. It was awful, and you can
Hmm.
see the difference in, especially in Beto, since Moyes has come in. The difference in him is, I can't get over. Like, he's 5 goals in the last 4 games now. He was a handful for United at the weekend. He's a handful for Liverpool the midweek before. He's a handful for everyone at the moment. He just looks so much more confident.
Hitting the
Um,
LeBron silencer every
yeah,
time he
every single time.
scores.
In contrast to Dyche, in Moyes' 8 games, they've 4 wins, 2 draws, and 2 losses.
Hmm.
And no one in the Premier League has taken more points than they have in the last 5 games, with 11, the same as Liverpool. Everyone just looks renewed. Jack Harrison looks like he needs to be drug tested, because this wasn't the Jack Harrison that was playing the first 20 games of the season. When he's playing now, he looks like an Aldi version of Messi. Like, he's running the show sometimes. Like, I can't believe how good they've been since Moyes went back in. West Ham must be kicking themselves.
Oh, surely. Yeah, honest to God. I said that to a West Ham fan. I said it to him, like I said, and I said, like, would you not be regretting letting Moyes go? And they're like, no, we're like, we were finished with him at that point. But I thought it's a bad decision because the man brought them like silverware, and there's a reason they went back to him again. Yeah, they did want
Mm,
to change their football, but he does have a philosophy. Like, he's not like some kind of reductionist tactician, like a Tony Pulis kind of a guy.
mm,
Like, he's not like that. So, yeah, to your point, they completely changed. I think they are more open in defense, but they're way more capable attacking wise. So in the last 6 games, they've conceded 7 goals, and they only conceded four in the last 6 games under Dyche. But in the last six under Moyes, they scored 14. And in the last six under Dyche, they scored five. That's including a 4-0 win over Wolves as well, like an outlier. So one goal in the other 5 games under Dyche in the last six. Like, they've completely changed attacking wise. I looked at Beto as well. Like, I thought, you know, excellent player in terms of confidence. I think he looks like a proper player now. Like, some
100%.
some of these guys need that confidence. I think he's had 9 shots on target in his last four, and he had five all season before that because he wasn't getting the minutes, and they weren't giving him the chance to get these shots off, and kind of like you said, like, get himself going and causing terror, causing hassle because he's big and he's strong, and he is like the perfect, you know, Barclays player, like a
Yeah,
Mateta type. He's literally that exactly. So, other members of the team that really stuck out to me are Jake O'Brien, obviously playing right
mm,
back. Like, it's no, it's no wonder he's played so well. Like, we obviously knew about him previously. He's played for Ireland. I watched a bit of him at Leon, and he's quality on the ball. Like, such a good passer. He made a huge difference when Leon signed him. So it's no wonder he's made a big difference here. And Brantwaite being a consistent starter as well. I know he was injured, but Dyche was just basically like saying, forget the system, forget the players that were bought to play. He was just playing who he wanted all the time, and playing Michael Keane week in week out. Like, you're just asking for trouble there. So it's no wonder that they've improved with a more competent manager in playing the players to their strengths instead of saying, no, I'm playing my ultra defensive. This is the system. That's it.
yeah. Like, I was going to mention the likes of Jacob Ryan, the likes of Brentwood as well, but I think another man who he does come in peak and troughs, but the core again at the weekend against
Mm,
United, coming from his deep runs from midfield, are absolutely unbelievable. Like, and he wasn't doing that under David Moyes or under Sean Dyche. He wasn't allowed. He was like, sit there beside Idrissa Gay,
yeah.
and just, you sit there, you get the ball, you give it to the three lads who are ahead of you. but a goal against United, he was excellent against Liverpool as well again. Like I think the life that David Moyes has breathed back into these players is
Yeah,
has just it's unfortunately been a joy to watch. Because they looked like they were going to go down. I thought if they went down to Championship with that new stadium, it would have been quite funny. But
yeah,
they're obviously
yeah.
not going down now. I think the three going down are the three that are in the bottom three now at the
The
moment. I
worst
don't think there's
ever. They're
anyone.
on pace for
Oh,
the worst ever.
unreal. But I think Jacob Ryan definitely deserves a special mention because he's come in at right back. He's 6'5" and he's playing right back.
Nah,
Like, and he's not getting turned inside out by anyone. He's so good defensively. His passing is incredible. Like how Sean Dyche didn't use him at all. It baffles me. His first start was the game after Dyche was sacked.
yeah, I know. It's like almost not to jump too far ahead because he's an Irish player, don't want to go. But
Mm,
like you're looking at Gavardiol for City, there, big body, strong, makes good runs. Like he's not the same attacking presence, but like he's a lot younger in terms of he's a lot less experienced as well. Um, I think that's the type of player now that is finding it like a role for themselves, playing like a right back or left back in the system. It's not the same as it used to be, and he could almost do something like that. I think he's a definite starter at centre back though for Ireland, or if we play the back three, obviously play on the right there. But
yeah,
I think
100%.
right back is really suiting him, and like you said, he doesn't look out of place with his pace, and it adds another big, tall body for corners, defending both of defending and attacking, which is really important for the way they play. And you mentioned Gay there, like playing next to Decore in midfield. Like I saw earlier on from Opta that he has 103 combined tackles and duels won in 2025. So 41 tackles, 62 duels won. The most of any player across Europe's big five leagues. Like that's just crazy. He's an absolute workhorse, and he's
Mm,
aging as well. And he looks to be getting more and more of a workhorse with age. Like he has literally an like his engine doesn't ever run out. He's like a Duracell
yeah.
bunny there, like in midfield. I can't like watching him, and then Garner next to him, who's literally the perfect Everton player, just kicking lumps out of lads. Like those two in midfield, it just works.
Yeah, I think the thing about Gay as well, and this is a big shout for me now, but I think he's the closest thing we've seen to Kante since Kante left the league.
That's just what I
Like,
was thinking.
yeah, like the way he's just constantly going, doesn't stop, all the tackles he wins, and he just goes under the radar. Like, no one mentions him when they're talking about, oh, who's been the best defensive midfielder in the league this year. There's no
Hmm.
mention of him. When everyone's talking about, oh, Rodri's out, who's been the next best to him? Gay is he just doesn't even get a look in terms of people who are talking about him. But I'm really happy you mentioned there because I think he has been the midfield has been the base for this Everton
Yeah,
turnaround. The way Moyes has kind of switched it into a two and a one instead of a one and a two. Sorry, yeah,
yeah.
he's turned it into a one and two instead of a two and one. Sorry,
Hmm.
and Garner, Decore, and Gay have just been electric from in the
Yeah.
last, especially in the last 5 games. The way they've turned everything around.
And
I
that's not
just I
even to
think
mention
Everton.
Alcaraz, who they got in. Like, and
Yeah,
he hasn't played yet, but when he does, like, he's a quality player as well.
yeah, it goes to show like the players were always there. Just Sean Dyche wasn't using them correctly, and David Moyes just come in and said, "Well, I'm not getting rid of anyone. I don't want to get rid of anyone. We have players here that can get us up to top half. Like maybe they won't finish top 10 now, but they'll finish between 10th and 14th, and they'll be very comfortable, very very
Yeah,
comfortable."
and something to build on for next season
Mm,
as well.
percent.
Yeah, that's. Do you have anything else on Everton?
No, just I thought they deserved a small bit of credit. So I
No,
said I'd give it to them this
definitely.
week and then forget they exist again. Then
Yeah. Until they play E again next
yeah.
season, and they'll be raring to go.
Oh, we have it next. I think we play them in 3 weeks at home. So
That's in Anfield,
I'll
yeah.
talk about I'll talk about them again then. Hopefully I'll talk about them. If they do anything in that game, I'll just ignore their existence.
Right. So, what are we moving on to then? The NBA.
We'll go on to the NBA. Yeah, I want to talk about Wemby's loss and how big of a loss he's going to be to San Antonio Spurs.
Mm,
Kind of coupled in with Popovich missing the rest of the season now as well as their head coach. I think it's going to put a real dent in what was looking like a promising enough season for him. Um, I think players like Wemby just cannot be replaced. I know you need to try and do something to kind of replace him, but as someone who's as big a presence as him, he'd be a loss to anyone. He'd be a loss to the Thunder. He'd be a loss to the Cavs. But when he's the focal point of that team, it makes him even more of a loss. Like this season, averaging 33.2 minutes with 24.3 points, 11 rebounds, 4 blocks, 82% free throws, 35% from 3 point, not great, but he is
Mm,
also 7'3", so there's only so much he can do.
yeah.
Um, he's going to be such a loss to him, and how you replace him, their other centers are nothing special. So I think he's just, I don't know how to. I don't know how to give the Spurs any hope between now and the play-in season. 3-7 in their last 10, and I can't see it really getting any better than that over the next 10.
No, I don't think it will. It's really unfortunate. Like, it's for such a young player to go down that early into a big injury. Like, this shouldn't be like underblown. Like, to have blood clots, like we've
Mm.
seen previously, that ruined Chris Bosh's career. Now is different because it's in his leg, so that does make a difference. Apparently, I've read that since it's in his shoulder, it's something that could clear up more easily, but it's still a severe injury that needs to be watched. And there are players that have suffered with blood clots throughout their careers as well. So you don't want to see that, especially with a young guy, someone who is going to be the face of the league, without a doubt. Like, yeah, like you mentioned there, 35% from three. Like, I honestly, I think that's good considering his size, and looks comfortable shooting threes as well.
Mm.
Then you do look at Jokic, and he's just shooting like the lights out from three for
Yeah,
absolutely no reason. But like, still, this is like an absolute beast, and on defense as well. Like, I think he was 1 to 25 to win Defensive Player of the Year, and now he doesn't meet the threshold for games played.
yeah,
So Jaren Jackson Jr. is now the favorite. But like, that, it just shows how dominant he was on defense, and he was in with a shout of winning it last year, like in his very first season.
yeah.
A
That
hundred
block he
and
had a couple of weeks back where he just put his arm up,
oh
didn't
my
even
god,
jump.
yeah,
Just like
he's
his reach was just outrageous, like, and he only to stand there.
it's just crazy. Like, he's a freak of nature, and
Mm.
to mention on blocks, 176 this season, and the next is 108, Brook Lopez. And interestingly, so it's 176 blocks in 46 games, and then Anthony Davis has 93 blocks in 43 games. So he nearly has double in the same amount of games as Anthony Davis, and he's one of the best defenders in the league.
Yeah,
So yeah, just outrageous and really unfortunate. Like, as you mentioned as well with Popovich, yeah, it's not a positive time for the Spurs, I suppose, with health and injury issues. You don't want to wish that upon any franchise, and yeah, it's very unlucky considering they just made that trade for Fox, and now things are definitely shut down for the season. They're not making that play, and they're probably going to tank now for the rest of the season.
yeah, like there's no point in them trying to go out of their way to go and win anything now because even if they snuck into the play-in, they're going to
Yeah,
get walloped in the first round of play-in anyway, and they'll have no chance of getting in any
yeah,
sort of pick then. Like I could see, like when they had Wemby, like so you want to keep him happy, you want to look like you are pushing towards championship level. But when
hmm,
Wemby's gone, there really is no point. You might as well just try and get the best draft pick you can to get more help in for him from next season and start again.
yeah,
Even if Popovich isn't back next season, like they'll have an off season where they can prepare and build with a new coach as well. But
true.
like this season would have been done in the eyes of Popovich, everything would have been there. So to lose him and to lose Wemby in one go in such a short space of time, like you have to feel from really, you really, really do.
Yeah, and I think the fact that they also think they might have the Hawks pick this year, so the Hawks
Yeah,
are falling like a stone as well. Like, so they might get two really good picks out of being bad now. So
yeah,
yeah, it's annoying this season, but realistically, they probably weren't going to make it very far anyway. So they obviously would have done better with Wemby than not. But I think in the long run, it may benefit them if they get two nice picks here, and they have an extra chance basically of getting a high pick in the lottery. So yeah, look, not all bad, but definitely a
the
scary
season is
injury.
over. Yeah, season is
Yeah,
over. And as you said, it's a really, really scary injury to get at so young as well. I think he's only 22 or 23. Not
yeah,
100% sure off the top of my head, but to get that at such a young age is going to put a bit of a dampener on him as well. And hopefully it is just a once off. He misses the rest of the season and it never flares up again.
yeah. fingers crossed.
Mm.
Definitely, we hope to see him back next year because, as I mentioned, like everybody wants to watch this guy play. He's going to
Yeah.
be the face. So, yeah, I think moving on from Wemby to the East, I want to talk about the Knicks. So the reason I want to talk about them is because I think they're good, but they're not good enough to win it. And ultimately, that was their goal with how much they gave up to build this team. Like they're such a good offensive team, but their defense is stinking. Like it's so
Mm.
bad, and they're so bad at even putting up a positive contest on shots. Like it doesn't look like some of these shots that they're contesting are just easy for the opponent, and that's why the scores are being run up like so much. They've lost in their last two to the Cavs and the Celtics, of course. So that one that's another downer for them because they've played the Celtics three times this season, lost in every one of them. Played the Cavs twice, lost both of them. Played OKC once, lost that. So they're 0-6 against those three big teams. That's not a positive thing because they want to be competing against these top teams. It's not to say that they're a bad team, but they're just not good enough to win it all. And I kind of highlighted that concern at the start of the season in my kind of preview for the season that I wrote.
Yeah.
I didn't think that they'd have enough, and I didn't really understand some of the moves they made. Now, offensively, they're a lot better than I thought they would be, but defensively, they're actually a lot worse than I thought they would be, and that's mostly down to Bridges being quite poor on defense.
Like I'm looking there now, and like so in their three games, so the last two against the Celtics and against the Cavaliers, Celtics put up 131, 118, and the Cavs put up 142. Like
Mm-hmm.
a team of the caliber of the Knicks shouldn't be conceding that many points, even if it is to a team who are like so they are the top of the sport. But
Yeah,
when you're pushing and hoping that you are in the hope of winning a championship, can like letting the team score 142 on you, needing 149 to beat the Hawks in overtime, like things like that just shouldn't be happening. And as you said, like Mikal Bridges is very poor defensively, but he's not the only one. Like, and the shots that they're contesting
yeah.
just they're just it's not helping them like and they will obviously get a playoff spot, but I can't see them going too far in it.
Yeah, I think another thing is that Thibodeau like plays these guys so many minutes, so you could see them kind of feeling a bit run into the ground come playoff time, which did end up happening last season. So looking at them, that they're fifth most in points, but they're right in the middle with points allowed, and they've allowed the seventh best field goal percentage. And luckily for them, they have a 49.3 field goal percentage themselves. So I think
Yeah.
that's like third best in the league. So
Okay.
they're like that. It's lucky that they're so good on offense, but when it comes to playoff time, really, really good offense doesn't outweigh horrendous defense because teams will slow the game down and just pick them apart. And look, they're not a volume 3 point team, which is what the Cavs and the Celtics are. So it's going to be very difficult to beat them because they're their direct opponents. They've 12.8 made threes per game, but they've only 34.1 attempted threes per game, which is 27th in the league. So
Yeah.
so very low. And then on the other side, they allow the highest 3 point percentage in the whole league with 38.1%. So that's again to mention these shot contests. Like, yeah, it's very poor defense, excellent offense, and I don't think that's going to cut it come playoff season.
I think that their spacing is always off. Like I don't know how every player always seems to make the wrong decision when it comes to defense, and they get away with it
Mm,
sometimes. But those stats and figures are showing there just show that they're not getting away with it over the course of a game or over the course of a season. Like they always, one of them at least seems to make the wrong decision every single time, and it's
yeah,
costing them. It's costing them big time. I know they're still third in the East, and they're 6-4 in their last 10.
yeah,
Not ideal, but it's not horrendous either. So they
yeah.
will definitely get playoffs, but they won't get any further. And I think they're a while away from a title still. I think.
No, definitely, and it's tough because it's a small enough window with how much they've given up, and
Mm,
they've got to pay these guys. Brunson took a bit of a cut; they'll have to pay him in the future. I think a major point is their rebounding as well. So, like they were a good rebounding team last year. Like from watching them, and especially in the playoffs, they were such good rebounders, especially on the offensive end. But looking this year, they're allowing the second most defensive rebounds and the 10th most offensive rebounds. So, allowing the second most defensive means that they're not challenging the offensive boards like they were.
Mm.
That was a key part of beating the Sixers in that playoff series last year. And it's down to Hartenstein going. They made a mistake, I think, letting him go and building the way they did. They had a more something that fit, I think, a bit better was him there. He's a good playmaker. They would have had to pay him less than they'd have to pay Cat. And then, he's excellent on offensive boards, giving them second chances. And then you have Josh Hart, who almost has 10 rebounds per game for his size, is outrageous. Like he's been the shining light for me, to be honest, because I think he's improved offensively,
Big
improved
time,
in his
yeah.
playmaking, and his rebounds are always there. But so it's not all negative. You have Brunson having his career high in assists with Cat there now, shooting the lights out. But again, it's all down to the defense, as we mentioned. Really, really poor.
Like everyone says it, and it's such a cliche, but it is defense that wins championships
Yeah,
because it's all well and good being able to score 135, 136 points in a game, but when you're letting in the same if and more on the other side, it's just not going to help. And like you lose, sorry, you'll win more games than you lose, but in a playoff, like you will lose more than you win if you just can't keep teams from
yeah,
putting threes in from easy run to the basket twos, like, and they just need to sort the spacing or they're going nowhere.
yeah. No, I agree. Definitely. Yeah, that's all I have on them. So, do you want to move on to the gun chance?
Yeah, we're going to gun chance for this week.
Cool. I'll let you go ahead first, lead it in, and
I've had
give us the update.
yeah, I've had bad back-to-back weeks now. I went a 0-1,
Mhm.
so need to try and get back on track this week. So I'm
Well,
going to go.
luckily enough, I've gone 1-0, so
Oh, I'm keeping that a substantial lead over you. So
yeah, still
I've
10-point
gone.
lead.
I've gone very brave on my first one, to be perfectly honest, but it's an early kickoff on a Saturday. It's a derby, and I'm going from Millwall to beat Palace.
Oh, jeez.
Um, Millwall are 8-1, Palace are 4-11. It's
Yeah.
the FA Cup. The F anything can happen in the FA Cup. It's a huge derby. They hate each other.
Hmm.
Millwall could go out and just kick lumps out of Palace, and Palace mightn't be up for it. Palace might concentrate on the league. Very, very unlikely, but the FA Cup is always hard to
Yeah.
find underdogs to go with. In the NBA, I've gone for the Pistons to beat the Nuggets. The Pistons are 32 and 26. Nuggets are 38 and 20, so they just about meet the threshold of the 5 games. But
Yeah.
the Pistons are on a 7 game winning run at the
Hmm.
moment, the joint most in the NBA. Nuggets lost one after I think they won 9 in a row, then they lost one and they won then last night. But like I think it's a game that's it's a bit of a cop out of a pick that it just about meets the threshold and there's no real
Ah, I
kind
like
of
it. I like it.
yeah, there's nothing there that really kind of jumps out to me. So I think the Pistons are on a good run, and I can see them keeping it going now against the Nuggets. And
Hmm.
finally, I've gone for Ipswich to beat Nottingham Forest. I think Forest are going to start worrying about their league position now.
It's actually looking
Like,
at that one myself.
yeah, I think Forest are going to worry about the league position. Forest are going to want to keep on to that top four, top five place, get Champions League football, and kind of build from there. I don't
Hmm.
think they're overly worried about the FA Cup. I think Ipswich know they're down. They need to give the fans something to sing about for the end of the season. And
Yeah.
getting into a quarter final and potentially a semi final a day out at Wembley, I think Ipswich have a lot more riding on it than Forest have. So I backed them at 7-2. Forest are 4-6.
Cool. Yeah, I like those. The reason I was saying I like your Nuggets and Pistons is because I've also gone for that. I think, yeah, basically the same things you mentioned. Detroit on such a good run. I know the Nuggets look good, but on a 7 game winning streak now, and they're just getting better by the minute. Cade looks unbelievable. I talked about them that week that I did the episode on my own. I went into detail on why I like them a lot, and it's really interesting now to see them turn around. Like have an awful season last year, the worst team in the league, and
Yeah.
now they're making a push to not only be in the playing but above that and be a team that may actually end up getting a home playoff game if it does come down to it. But yeah, I'm going with them to beat Denver. Nothing on Denver. I think Denver are excellent, but I just think when teams are on a really good streak, um, they'll continue it, especially a young team like that. So
Mm,
going with them. Then I've also gone with Wolves to beat Bournemouth. So basically what you picked last week,
mm.
but just to happen again in the cup. I don't know. Wolves are 15-4. and Bournemouth are 3-4. So I said, let's go for it again this weekend. Anything could happen. You never know. And then the last one I went for, I was going to go for the Wizards to beat the Hornets, but because the Wizards had 9 wins and the Hornets had 14, then some miraculous thing happened and the Wizards won last night. So that pushed that one out. And I've gone with my backup, which was your Houston Rockets to lose to the Sacramento Kings. And so that's on Saturday night. Rockets
Oh,
are very poor recently, three and
yeah.
seven in their last 10. Kings are so 5-5. They're pretty much 500 on the season, so you never know what you're going to get with them. So let's just take a punt there and pick the Kings, because I think, yeah, I wanted those Wizards. I thought they'd upset the Hornets, and they probably will. But then I also want to say, Timberwolves letting me down. Like they literally beat the Thunder, and then I picked them. They played the Thunder again. They lost to them quite well, and they played them again last night, and they beat them in overtime. Like, will you come on?
Yeah, the only game you picked to let you down.
Honest to
I
God.
think I think your Rockets pick is not a bad shout at all. Like Joe, when you go and lose to the Jazz, literally
Yes.
the worst team in basketball. Like yeah, no, they're a frustrating team to watch at the moment. Whatever's after going on with them, but look,
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
young
think it's a bad
teams for you,
shout at
though, isn't
all.
it?
Yeah, don't think it's a bad shout from you at all. I really don't. I think yeah, I can't see anything against it. I think they're three good picks as well.
Cool. Nice one. So we'll move on. Do you want to take it away first with the NFL?
Yeah, we'll do. So we're going to talk about where are the LA Rams going next season. So they have Sean McVay, who I personally think is one of the best coaches in the league. I think he's
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. But I think they've kind of they're putting a lot on Puka Nakua now. If they are going to try and trade away Cooper Cup, they have picked number 26 in the draft. So it's not like you're going to go out and get a top class wide receiver as a wide receiver. You're not going to get another Puka Nakua at 26. Maybe you will. Someone might just come out of the woodwork,
Well,
but
they got him a lot lower than that.
yeah. So it is doubtful. But I think if they can get someone to replace Cooper Cup, get a good offer for Cooper Cup, get like what the Jets give up for Devontae Adams, a conditional third that rises to a second. But I'm a bit down on them. Like I was expecting a whole lot from this season, and they had awful injury luck, really, really
Mm,
awful injury luck. But they kind of they weren't what I was expecting from them. Like Puka played 11 games and did come back 79 catches for 990 yards and three touchdowns, which is good in 11 games. Needs more touchdowns, obviously, but it wasn't bad for a fella to come back from injury. But outside of him and Kyron Williams, they really don't have much going for them. They have a big rebuild on their hands, I think.
mm. Well, I think it's interesting because I disagree in terms of basically that they're in a bad situation. Like, I know it's tough losing Stafford and Cup, but honestly, last season I had no real expectations for them, and I thought they really overperformed, getting as far as they did, and almost beating the Eagles. They were the closest team to the Eagles in the playoffs. Thought they did a lot better than I expected because I didn't think that defense would be as good as it was, and I think they've done a very good job at starting to rebuild that. I like Cameron Curl. I really like Jared Verse. Obviously, he won Defensive Rookie of the Year, so that was a great pickup. Now, I do agree with you that losing Stafford and Cup, which they probably will do, is going to be a massive blow, and it's another level of a rebuild, way bigger than just filling in on defense. It's your main parts of your team. So yeah, I do agree in that sense that next year might be difficult, but I also thought last year would be really difficult, and they shocked me. And I think if any man can do it, it's Sean
It
McVay
is Sean
because
McVay, yeah.
he's an absolute football genius.
Like I do think, as you're saying, like I think their defense is pretty much set. Like I don't think they need to do too much work to that in the off season. But having to replace your quarterback and one of your best wide receivers in one go is going to be really, really tough. And like, do you draft a quarterback at 26? Do you draft a wide receiver at 26? Or do you try and sign
Mm,
one? Then, like, what are the options? We'll be coming on to the options now in a couple of minutes. We talk about the Giants, but like, the Rams are it's not as desperate a situation as the Giants, obviously, but it's not a good situation to be in either, where you're trying to get a quarterback to come in and a wide receiver to come in that will help Puka Nacua, help Williams, and not kind of like take the spotlight away from the lads who have been doing so well for you for the last couple of years too.
yeah, I think overall. I think it's definitely going to be tough, but then it's hard to predict because it depends what they get back for Cup and
Mm.
Stafford. If they get like a nice haul back there, they could then flip that to get a higher draft pick, or they could use it to trade for somebody. I don't know. I don't know what they get for Cup, to be honest. I think a third or second would be good business for them. I think they're probably going to be asking for a low first at least for Stafford. I don't
Yeah,
think they'll get that. They're not going to get it. He's 37 years of age, so I think yeah, it's a difficult situation in terms of what they do with those two guys. But I think in general they're set with some of the things they've brought in on defense. They're set with Nakua, as you mentioned, Williams and
mm.
McVay will do what he needs to do here. And I think give them a year. If next year is a little bit down, trust me, they'll be back the year after
Yeah.
with him if he's still there. So I think yeah, it's an interesting situation and one that's probably going to change a lot over the off season. We'll probably have different opinions at different times on this.
I think the big issue for him with Cooper Cup is that 3 days into the start of the new season in March, that he's owed 7.5 million. And
Mm,
if he's still at the Rams have to pay it, or if he goes off somewhere else, that team will have to pay it. So you
hmm
can see teams kind of holding out and waiting for the Rams to pay the 7.5 million, and then coming in with their second or third round pick offers,
Yeah,
but not getting stung for the 7.5 million. So
yeah,
you could see it dragging on, which they won't want either. They'll kind of want this over and done with, so they know where they are. But I can't see it happening. I
yeah.
can't see it happening fast anyway.
I'm not sure on the like legal rules of it, but it might be possible for a team to flip it that they give it to him in like a signing bonus or something, and it's different. Something has moved around there to knock it off the cap.
Yeah.
I don't know what could be done, but the Rams will definitely be soured if a team try to avoid paying that and then come in for
Mm.
him after. So it's one to watch, and it's a difficult situation, but yeah, definitely one of many big situations to look at into the NFL offseason. So in the offseason in general, we're just gonna talk about like topics rather than teams and players. It could be a coach or the draft or whatever. So Shane obviously has gone with some of those issues around the Rams this week, and I've gone with just basically something to get off my chest here about the Giants for the season that they just had. Basically, yeah, I don't know. I just started off by writing down when I was making my notes so bad, but like looking in the season, I expected so much more, but then piecing it all back together, why did I really expect anything? Because how many seasons have we had? Like I've just been kind of thrown off by that season when Dayball first came in and then got us into the playoffs just when he wasn't expected to do so. And I think
Mm.
that's thrown off expectations massively. But last season was the lowest of the low. It was absolutely tragic. And looking at how important running and rushing is in the league right now, having a good running back. I don't want to focus too much on Barkley going because he wouldn't have performed the same in this Giants team. So that's for I don't care about that
It's a moot
point of
point,
it.
kind of. Yeah.
Yeah, basically. But they allowed the fourth most rushing yards in the NFL and were the eighth worst rushing team. That's just not a recipe for success. And that's not even down to the running backs. Like Tyrone Tracy had over 1,000 yards in his rookie
Yeah,
season.
he was class last season.
Like it's
When
literally down to the
when they
offensive
let him
line and the
go.
scheme.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm.
honestly, like just such a negative, and the offensive line is literally number one in my eyes as the biggest issue with this team. They couldn't do really what they needed on either side of the ball with injuries throughout the season. Like obviously Thibodeau got injured, Dexter wasn't fully fit at times. Brian Burns looked absolutely burnt out by the end of the season, and like losing Andrew Thomas, who's probably the best player on the Giants roster, like having him there at tackle, he's able to stop two players at once.
Mm.
And I think he has like one of the best block and win block rates in the NFL when he's fit. But how many injuries does this guy have to have? Like it's at this point it's just like you can't even expect him to be playing because he's injured so much. And when someone who you're paying a lot and is probably so good, it raises a massive question mark going forward.
Massive, yeah, it's 100%. And like it's one of the best abilities is availability. I've heard that
Mm,
over and over again. And as good as he is, and he is the best player on the roster, but when he's not available over and over and over again, there is a stage where you just have to say, okay, we can't rely on him. We need to replace him. He'll like
Hmm.
he'll be the best backup player in the league, and when he's fit, we play him. But you can't be going into the season saying, "Oh, we have him to play here. We have him to play here." If he's not going to show up, he's not going to be there for you. Like so, it
Yeah.
is really difficult. Like a bit like yourself now. When I was starting out, my first line of my notes is, "My God, it's very, very bad." Like I couldn't believe looking through it. Like you pick number three, if he's still there, presumably go for Travis Hunter, play him a
Mm,
cornerback, see what he can do. But then you're looking at who will the quarterback be? Like Sam Darnold, Mac
no,
Jones,
no, it's not going to be Mac Jones.
Wilson. Like Joe, nothing really gets you off your feet.
But man, I can't. But these I like however Darnold played last season, like the man is going to get crippled behind that Giants
Mm.
line. There's literally no point in playing him there. Like I honestly think, for me, I think Kirk Cousins is ideal, but then if they don't fix the line either, he's a no go. So it depends what they do. They need to fix the offensive line before anything else, and that's what wins. Games are won in the trenches, and thing of Thomas, like he can't be like a backup, like you mentioned, like But then when he's that much money, like it comes to the point, like you're paying this guy so much, it's just it's hard to it's just hard as a fan of the team, especially to
Yeah.
differentiate between wanting to let him go and whatnot. But I think the best thing for me in terms of the last season was the rookie draft class. So
Mm.
obviously, Neighbors was out of this world, receiving passes from four different quarterbacks, and then obviously Tyrone Tracy behind an absolutely broken offensive line. Tyler Nubin at safety was excellent, and Drew Phillips was really really good. Cornerback, I think that was one that shocked me a lot. So I was happy with the draft in general, and that keeps me positive about this one, especially in terms of, I think Shane Bowen did an okay job as DC. Not amazing, blitzed a lot, probably one of the most in the league, and that led to less passing yards. But obviously, there was a lot of rushing yards, and I think Dexter needs help in that middle. I heard now that the D line options in this draft class are very very deep, and they're one of the best. So possibly could pick up someone early second round, but
Yeah.
yeah, I think O line and D line need to be fixed before we worry about anything else. But then, as you mentioned, we don't have a quarterback. So,
Like I've two things that I've written down here. So one was if Cam Ward was still available at three. Now
mm,
it's extremely unlikely that he'll still be available at three, but if he was, would you be taking him over taking Travis Hunter? Like, would you get Cam Ward in and just kind of deal with not getting him, or would you wait for the second round and bring in Jalen Milrow in the
mm,
late second round
mm.
and kind of just put all your chips on him?
I think
Like,
I know, knowing the Giants, they're taking Cam Ward if he's there at three.
yeah,
Like I just know in that situation that's what they do, and also the fact that I've seen like Dayball and Shane, basically Joe Shane, saying that like they wanted, I don't know, that they had some conversations with Cam Ward, and I've heard some rumors about them liking him a lot, but I've also heard that the Jets would like to trade up for Cam Ward. So I don't know what's going to happen with Cam Ward, but I can probably say for certain he won't be there at three.
yeah,
Sanders might be there at three, and I hope the Giants don't pick him, because it's just an accident waiting to happen with him. Like I don't know, I don't think he's good enough to go in the first round. And a lot of the draft rankings and ratings of him that aren't just like doing a mock. Of course, he's going to go high, but actually looking at his film, people a lot wiser than me have said similar. So what I want really is what you said in Travis Hunter, either him or Abdul Carter. I think we probably don't need an edge rusher, but we might not exercise the option we have on Thibodeau's contract if we do get Carter. So it's hard to know what we're going to do there. But I'd be happy with either. Probably most happy with Hunter, because if there's any team that needs a player that can play cornerback and wide receiver, it's the
yeah.
Giants. So
Like like you clearly have your wide receiver one and your running back one in Neighbors and Tracy.
that's
So
it.
like
Yeah,
there isn't really any need to go out and bring in a wide receiver that's going to take Neighbors' place. So it
yeah,
is, as you said, fix the O line, get a quarterback, get Travis Hunter, he's still there at three, and just kind of run with him because he is. monster of a player.
Oh,
I know he
unreal.
can't. Now I don't think he can play both in the NFL.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't.
No, I don't think so. So
I
like
wouldn't
you put
reckon
him
he
in a
could.
corner. Yeah, so put him in a corner and just watch him grow the way Cooper DeJean grew with the Eagles this year. He mightn't do it in the same kind of pace as Cooper DeJean, but he definitely has the talent to be top five center. Sorry,
Yeah,
top five
corner.
corner
Yeah.
in the next couple of seasons. Like I do think he's that good from what I've watched of him.
Oh yeah, I think he's up there. Like, look, going into the season, I think you're looking at more of a Quinyon Mitchell level, even 'cause of how
Mm,
good he is. I think he's so good as a cornerback, and he has that ability to catch a ball and be an interception hawk, which not many cornerbacks have.
yeah,
So yeah, I think play him there, and I think he could play in certain packages wide receiver with, if you needed, say, someone to go deep, with neighbors running a slant or something. I don't know what
yeah.
way they would dial it up, but he probably will have some reps at wide receiver too. But surely, what cornerback would be the main thing for him, no matter where he goes. But
I think as
yeah,
well, like obviously his catching ability, which he has
mm,
shown as wide receiver, is going to be massive for interceptions.
yeah,
Like
that's
it's your
it.
team trying to go deep with him. It's like you're throwing for him as your wide receiver with the way he
Yeah,
catches, the way he's been catching the ball in college. Like you'd be trying to avoid him as much as possible. And
exactly.
any team who has him is going to look is good. They're going to be a danger. Like
Yeah,
obviously, Joe, the D line is going to need to be a lot better than it has been as well. But having him following a wide receiver one, having him following a Justin Jefferson, it
mm,
almost takes Justin Jefferson out of the game because it
yeah,
has to be the perfect pass, or he has more than a 50-50 chance of getting it because he's looking directly at us. Justin Jefferson is always running away, whereas he's waiting for it to come. So I think he'd be a massive pickup if whoever gets him is going to get a hell of a player.
Yeah, I think so as well. Like definitely, that's where the comparison to Mitchell comes, where players don't even throw in their direction. They're that
Yeah,
good, and I think Banks is a pretty good cornerback, but he's not a cornerback one. So I like that combo there. So I think that would solve a big problem, and it might free up the fact that it might not have to blitz as much. So look, we'll see what happens. So many question marks, and leading up to the draft, I'm sure we'll do a bit of a mock draft, or at least the first 10 picks
yeah,
at some point to look at
definitely,
what could happen. But yeah, a lot of questions, and we won't get a lot of answers very soon. I think it's going to be a long game here for the Giants. But
definitely.
yeah, let's move on from the sadness of the Giants, man. Let's move on to the power rankings.
Perfect. I'll let you go first this week 'cause I'm pretty sure I stole the show last week.
No worries, man. I'll go first. So last week, to re what's the word I want to say?
Round up.
No, like to refresh. Want a
Okay.
refresher, man. Yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Perfect.
I want to refresh last week. Last week I had Liverpool, Thunder, Nuggets, Cavs, Arsenal, and Bournemouth. So this week I've stuck with Liverpool first, of course. Beat Man City in what seemed to be quite an easy fashion. So why would I drop them? A new entry for me actually have moved all the way up to second. I think the Celtics have been unbelievable, and they're ramping right up to a position now where they look very scary for anyone who thought the Thunder were going to have an easy walk this season, or any team would have an easy time. I think it's making things a lot more difficult for the Cavs how good the Celtics are becoming. Ramping up right at the right time. I think championship teams usually do that. They find it a little bit tough at the start of the season, and then they hit their stride. They have pushed the Thunder down to third for me. Still second best team, I think, probably in my
Yeah.
opinion, right now, best team in the NBA. But I think I think I'll have to give it to the Cavs just on recent performances, or to Celtics just on recent performances, because they did beat the Cavs. Then the Cavs are still in fourth for me, still really good. I think better than any of the shouts from the Premier League. So let's keep them in fourth. Then I've gone with Newcastle in fifth. Good win on the weekend. Not an overwhelmingly good performance in the second half, but solid win overall, and they're in the cup final as well. So I have to give them a shout because they're consistent and they're pushing for the Champions League. And in sixth, I've gone for one based on form alone. I've gone for the men that we chatted about earlier. I've gone for Everton. So no other team that I really wanted to add in here that I thought were impressing me with Arsenal's loss at the weekend, Bournemouth's loss, and looking at City losing. I thought, yeah, let's give it to Everton on their form. I know they didn't win at the weekend, but they should have won, and they're on a very good streak. So that's rounding up my six.
Nice. I'll give you a refresh of mine as well before you get into them. So last week I had Liverpool, Arsenal, the Cavs, the Knicks, Man City, and Thunder.
Cool.
I've gone for a 4-2 split this week of NBA with four and the Premier League with two. Because a bit like
Okay.
yourself, there was no one in the Premier League that was moving me enough this week to kind of get them back in there. I've kept Liverpool at one. Obviously, get beaten Man City at the weekends. They're 11 points clear at the top of the league. They're probably on current form the best team in Europe, but we'll see how they get on when they play PSG in the cup. I think it's the weekend, this day next week, I think actually. I have the Cavs at two. I still think they are one of the best teams in the NBA, if not the best. I have the Thunder at three.
Okay.
They're another team. They're on an 8-2 run. I just think they're top tier. I've added in the Pistons. When I was looking at them
Nice. I like
earlier,
that.
yeah, when I was looking at them earlier, like they are on the longest winning run in the league with seven at the moment. They're coming along nicely, as you mentioned them in that episode you did on your own. They're a young team that are playing really, really well together, and I really like watching them at the moment.
Hmm.
I had the Celtics in at five, a bit like yourself now. They've gone 9-1 in their last 10.
Yeah. It's
They're
unreal.
a team to be feared. They're beating the Knicks, and they're really, really good. And they're another team that are kind of coming together at the right time with the playoffs kind of just kind of around the corner now at this stage. And I have had to leave Arsenal in at six, but they have dropped from second to sixth.
Yeah. Big drop.
Um, I've only left them there because there was no one else in the Premier League that I kind of was really, really shouting and roaring about. I didn't even consider Newcastle, to be honest. I probably should have,
Hmm.
but Arsenal have just kept their place in there, even though they did lose to West Ham. They are still second. They will probably finish second, so I just kept them in my top six.
Nice. I like it. Good bit of variety there, and I really like the Pistons shout as well. And one I was thinking about, and I think possibly let's look at next week if they keep this up. They'll definitely deserve an addition in there on both sides. But any other business you have before we wrap up the episode?
Because we didn't get to talk about it, I would like to give 5 minutes on Liverpool Man City and just not even get into the stats and the figures. We just kind of go over a kind of high level overview of it, of just from the eye test.
Yeah, let's go
Um,
for it.
I thought the way Liverpool played it was perfect. Playing in a low block is not something you see very often from a team that are out on the top of the league, but they did it superbly. The two centre backs again are just they're a joke. The two of them, Kanate and Van Dijk, are just a joke. Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai ran themselves into the ground, up and down. Szoboszlai in particular was just non-stop, back defending, up, scoring his goal, back defending, up, supporting Salah. And then Salah is just what Salah is like. He's just incredible.
Yeah,
25 goals and 16 assists, I think he's on now. The first player in Premier League history to get 25 goals and 15 plus assists in a season. First player in
yeah,
Europe to have 50 goal involvement as well. He's just
it's crazy.
out of this world. And I know Trent was torn to shreds by Doku, but there was nothing Doku did after he got past him that was scary. The way they defended outside of Trent,
Hmm.
Salah tracking back for a change as well. I just thought, what a
Yeah,
performance.
no, that was really impressive from Salah. And on the other side as well, the fact that Robertson was getting help too. But of
Mm.
course, that's when you're in that low block. But I think, yeah, they worked at that. It didn't matter. Trent was getting rinsed there on the outside by Doku, but I don't think it mattered because, like, you had that low block and you had extra bodies in the box. Literally just crowded the box. And City find it very difficult to not go through the middle.
Yeah,
And then when you don't have Haaland in there, you're not crossing it to anybody.
crossed it to no one.
Yeah, so like
Literally,
it
yeah.
was it was a tactic that worked very well. I think took the chances very clinically as usual. I think they basically played it to perfection. The only the only gripe I have is about Slot basically going to town about United playing a low block against them earlier in the season and saying they were playing long balls when they literally weren't playing long balls, but they were playing a low block. They were playing long balls, but not long ball tactic, like
The first
similar to
Liverpool
the
goal against City was a long ball from Trent down the
so
line or the second goal, sorry, the one to set that Salah set up Szoboszlai was a long ball by Trent to set up Salah. But look,
exactly, yeah.
it's okay when Liverpool do it. Just like those little teams need to play better football.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's it. Yeah, yeah. Even though that game we were passing it around you for the laugh. One of our only
Mm,
good games this season. Let us have it. But yeah, I think it's just because he said it in a negative way after that game.
yeah,
Like you're doing it yourself. Not that there's anything wrong with the tactic, I think it was perfect way to beat City, and
I
that's
think
what
he probably
teams
got
need
it
to
from
do.
that game. He probably picked it up in that game. He was like, "Oh, this can work against a team that are going to." They're like City were probably going to have more ball than Liverpool were in general because it was at
Mm,
the Etihad. City love keeping the ball. Nico Gonzalez loves to keep the ball, so he's like, I might as well double down on it now and have none of the ball and just take our chances when they come. And thankfully, they took the two chances in the first half, and there wasn't a single stage in the second half where I was worried that Man
yeah.
City were going to score one, let alone two or three.
Once the 2 goal lead came, that was just like felt it was over.
Yeah, 100%. Once they went 2-0, I was like, City aren't getting back into this. They haven't done it all season against a good
Yeah,
team. They haven't looked like they're going to turn anything around. So, yeah, I was pretty confident at 2-0 that it was over and done with. And I
yeah,
think the
no,
title is
good
over
one.
and done with.
Yeah, I agree. I think definitely. I think it's done. That was the last, I think, big hurdle unless you go on like a
Mm,
5 game losing streak. But winning that game shows that that's not going to happen. So, yeah, I think all good things from your perspective and your point of view. And you're in a heap of trouble at the moment. They just look like they're running out of ideas and
big
don't know
time.
what's going on with the Haaland situation too. So they threw a ball of money at it this transfer window and it didn't work. So back to the drawing board in the summer.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing them fall like a stone, hopefully, and potentially, what's the word? These alleged charges. Hopefully,
Oh yes, yes,
they're no longer alleged. But
yeah.
I
Let's
won't
see.
say too much on them yet.
Oh lads, that might be a celebratory episode if we see
Yeah,
if
most
we if
definitely.
we see that happen, and we'll see all the fraudsters for what they are.
Mm,
But yeah, as you said, it's all alleged now. But like either way, they're just even you see in this window, like they just pumped money into it and it didn't work. So
not at
they're
all.
just pump money in all the time. So regardless, they do spend a lot of money, whether this is like a charge that goes ahead or not. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. That's all
Yeah,
I have. So thanks again, lads, for listening. And like if you can share around, that would be great again. And let us know what you thought, if you have any feedback, and give us a like and comment. All of that stuff really does help. So as much as you can do it and work away. And we will be back again next week for another good episode. So thanks very much, lads, and chat to you then.
cheers, lads. Thanks so much. See you next week.